Testing. Is this thing on? Hello? Oh yeah, that's right. Somebody's gonna talk to me. Okay, alright. I guess we're gonna sing now. Alright, cool. Have yourself a bloody little Orcmas. Slash them up with a knife. Serve their flesh with wine by the fire's light. Have yourself a slashy, stabby Orcmas. Make the elves all scream. Carve them up and put them in a bag to steam. Smash them up into crimson paste, goopy crimson paste and gore. Halflings, dwarves, and tiefling pie, yes, they all will die on the floor. Enjoy the meal we all will share together. Listen to them say, ow! Stew, pate, roast human, maybe even cow. Seriously, who eats cow? That's disgusting. And have yourself a bloody, bloody Orcmas. Oh, I was supposed to end the note.
Anyone can play the game while you listen.
What's going on here?
But this ragtag crew of adventurers is covering the problems of the average player.
Where should I begin?
Discussing the home brews, modules, and the latest content for all things D&D.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
It's Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything.
What you're feeling is so normal and perfectly natural.
With your host, the Pirate Captain.
Everybody loves me, and I don't know why. I'm an asshole. I really am. The Pirate Captain is a dick.
Chef Bolgg.
Let me take a couple steps back so I can, really get this point across.
It's bullshit!
And Loke the Bard.
Instead of making a deal with Cthulhu or, the greater devil, you found an imp who was willing to give you dark vision in exchange for a gallon of blood.
With a little mayhem, mischief, and a bit of bardic charisma, it's time for the show.
That's right. We're back at it again, boys. Fresh from the galley last night. Arr, always good to be here with me bestest buddies and Loke the Bard. I thought we got rid of you at the port, but apparently rats do swim. What is happening, everybody? It is Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. I am the titular Pirate Captain. Along with me, my bestest buddy Bolgg.
Me.
That is true. That is you, bud. Now get the stuff out of your mouth. We got things to do. And Loke the Bard.
Ho, ho, ho.
Aren't we the
Happy
festivest
holidays.
one? Aye. And of course...
And happy hoes, too.
I'm going to murder you. I swear to God, I will murder you. And
How do I follow that?
You're simple. We just kick him off the stream and we never pretend he was here.
Would you rather have depressed hoes?
You know what? I'm done with all three of y'all. All of y'all. Y'all are... That's it. It's a mutiny. This show's over. Oh, and of course, Mr. Producer.
Quick to call mutiny.
It took 10 seconds and I'm already done with y'all. 10 seconds. That's it.
Captain can't mutiny against himself.
Yeah. We would be the ones mutinying against you.
Some days, I just want to murder all of y'all. I really do. And Mr. Producer, he's here with us. This is Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. We are a D&D style podcast. We talk about the average problems of the average player, even despite some of us not being average players. Looking at you, Loke. Make sure you follow us on all our social media. No, I'm not. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Make sure you follow us on all of our social medias. Oop. That doesn't want to show. Come on. Do your thing. Come on, Mr. Edge. Alrighty. Oh yeah, Tringo. Wasn't ready for that. Let's see if it'll do it now. Don't you just love it? Oh.
Dead air.
Yeah, it's dead air. Oh, whatever. Alrighty. Make sure you follow us on all our social medias. All right, Twitter, Facebook, everything like that. I've got it going now. It's Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. You be sure. It's a great little fun time that we have. We are also on YouTube. Appreciate everybody who's liked, subscribed, and shared to us right there. Make sure you're doing that. You can see all of our different videos that we have. I know one of them is not making a lot. Is making a lot of people angry, and I'm fine with that. And then make sure the podcast. This is where it all started. You follow us on there. We're on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music, all of them. You can find us there. Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. Now, we have a great episode for you today. Going to kind of make it short. But the big news that we're going to be talking about, YouTuber, a very great YouTuber. I thought the world of this guy's creations. JoCat has announced that he is stepping back from creating content, which really sucks. Because the Craft Guide to D&D were some of the things that kind of got us. Like, I remember when I first saw that and I shared it to the group. It was like one of the greatest things. We watched those videos on repeat for like an hour.
Yeah, I'll never forget. We were on our way to a Renaissance festival like 3 or 4 years ago, whenever they first came out. And you were like, "Oh, have you seen this?" And we're like, no. And you're like, you showed us on your phone at the time. And the entire trip to there and back, everybody in the car, that other than the driver, wound up sitting there watching everything that was out up to that point.
Oh, yeah.
They were great.
They were. They had, he has a lot of stuff. Let me pull up his page. I don't want to play any of it because I know that I don't want us to get in, any trouble with that. Videos of JoCat D&D. Let's see if I can't just go to his page. Let me make sure that this is muted.
But I know he did the Crap Guide. He's done a lot of like live play type streams.
Well, he was super big into crap. That's some other goober's freaking YouTube channel. I fixed it, crap. Bro, shut the hell up. There we go. That's it. Leave him alone, dude. This stuff was great. So prepared today.
Yeah.
So
a holiday. Give us a break.
So this is JoCat. Go subscribe to his channel still. He'll still be able to make money off this. He may not make a whole lot of different new content and stuff like that, but he was big into Final Fantasy 14, played a lot about it, talked a lot about it, but it was his Crap Guide to D&D that the 5th edition, there it is, don't play it. This is where we all found him. And I got to tell you, I can't remember which one was the first one that I remember seeing. And I know the Cleric one was the one that everybody fell in love with because it had a lot of great one-liners. But unfortunately, he's stepping back from content creation, and that really sucks. There's something about this world, I got to tell you, that it's tough. It's absolutely tough to be a human being in this world. It's easy to be a good person. It's harder to be a good person than it is to be a terrible person. I tell this to a lot of people.
Because you are the terrible person.
If I'm the worst person that you meet, I don't care. If I'm the worst person that you've ever met in your life, you've got a long way to go. I'm going to tell you that. And it sucks that this space has put him into a bad place, and that he doesn't want to create content anymore. Now the world's losing out on great videos, on hilarious content, and from bullying and stuff like that. So just want to take a few seconds to, say, hey man, Joe, I don't know if this gets to you. We really appreciate everything you did. Absolutely. And I hope that one day you can bounce back and come back to creating content, because it was really good. And
D&D generally, as a general rule, is a very open and accepting community. If you're bullying a D&D show produced content creator, you suck.
Yeah.
well spoken, Luke. Well spoken. I just
That's that high charisma right there.
Oh yeah. Man, I guess if Loke's saying it, I really do suck. Man, I'm gonna change my life.
Except for the pirate captain. You can bully the pirate captain all you want.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Whatever you're gonna say about me, I've already said about myself 10 times worse at the expense of myself.
And that's what it comes down to, like, right? Is if you don't like the content, don't watch it. Don't just be mean for the sake of being mean. There's no reason to do that other than to point the finger at yourself for being an asshole.
I mean, be mean to me. I would rather people try and be mean to me than be mean to other people. Like, okay, bro. I built up resiliency, and that's something that a lot of people just in this realm, this sphere of realm, that they just don't have that resiliency that I've built up from just being in some crappy situations. Thankfully, the Army's kind of helped out with that one. It's made me tougher, and it's a hard skill to learn. It really is. And I like YouTubers out there. It doesn't matter if you're JoCat or anybody else out there. Take a few minutes. You can find the Army resiliency courses online, and I'm going to tell you, it'll help out. I have a friend of mine who went to the course to train it, and he's like, "Bro, it helped my marriage. It helped my life. I'm a lot better of a leader. It's a really good stuff. It's a really good course to go to. So I highly recommend, if you're a YouTuber or anybody out there, taking a few seconds to go find the military resiliency courses and look into them, because nobody deserves that. But you have to understand that this is the internet too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna give those guys leeway in any way, shape, or form. But you have to understand that the internet is a dark place. It's always been a dark place. It's only gotten darker. There are people out there that'll just hate you just to hate you. They have no reason to even hate you to begin with, but they're just gonna hate you because somebody else said so. And I don't care who you.
There's a certain percentage of people out there who just suck.
My favorite line.
As your thing gets bigger, the odds of you attracting some of that percentage gets bigger with it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I'm a firm believer in the some people are shit. Like I say that to a lot of stuff. Felix's wife. This was we're not going to say what Mr. Producer did that day. But Felix's wife comes home when I was down in Florida last week visiting, and she's absolutely broken down in tears. And we have no idea what's going on. And it turns out somebody said something mean to her. And she's nothing against Felix's wife, but she's a little bit more susceptible to this stuff. Versus me, if you'd have told me to do that, I'd have told you to pack sand, bro. I don't care. But it's that resiliency I've built up. And he helped comfort her by telling her this line: sometimes you have to understand, some people are shit. That's it. And for people who have these huge followings, this is probably not like, it's not even JoCat. The video I sent you guys, I'm trying to think, Mr. Producer, what's that name of that guy? I've watched a few of his videos. I like it. He does some really good stuff too.
No, I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Can you? It's in the group chat. If you can pull that up and give me that guy's name, that'd be super helpful. But these, it's learning that lesson really early on in life, that hey, some people are shit. Like, they are just absolute garbages of people, and you can't don't take what they have to say for serious. Go find you a friend, or find you 2 friends. Go find you 3 friends. Go find you an entire crew of people that, they want the best for you. And that's what it is. You got that name for me, bud?
There's a D&D Shorts link, but that's the only
That's
thing
it.
I'm
That's
seeing.
yeah. That's the guy. I think that's what his channel is D&D Shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good channel.
He is. He's a really good dude. And I appreciate, like, I wouldn't have known about JoCat doing what he did without hearing that. So, but that's what I want to say. That's anybody else have anything on that one? Because that one hit me kind of hard. Because like I said, I remember watching his original videos, and when I saw that,
and there's not a lot of controversy to go in on this. I mean, good guy gets chased off the internet by bad people. That's
not really a hot take.
Yeah.
Oh, hot take. Like, I know my last hot take, which will lead us into our next comment, it made a lot of people mad, but I don't care. And it's about the Wizard of the Coast layoffs and stuff like that. I want to talk about this in a longer form. I want to have the crew in on this one because the video I put out was just my beliefs and thoughts on it. How we could probably see something good. It's not a good situation, but you have to look for the bright side in even the darkest of lights. And I felt bad. I feel bad for the people who did get fired. Like, don't think I made a video and I was like, haha, you got fired. I don't. It sucks to get fired. I've been fired. I could be fired tomorrow. Absolutely. That's just part of the industry. When you're in an industry that's content creation like that, everybody can be fired tomorrow. My boss could be fired tomorrow because
almost any industry, unless you're working for yourself.
Well, I
Chances
mean,
are you could be fired if your industry downturns or your
and
poor managed company.
And we're in Florida, the three of us, and we can be fired for any reason at any time.
Yeah, the right to fire.
That's before that's before your 90 days. Once you're past your 90 days, they have to show proof. That's the right to work state and stuff like that. But I like you said, I do not wish ill will upon people getting fired. It sucks to get fired. It absolutely does. I did say that there is a light, though, at the end of a tunnel where you have these guys that are. This is a fear that keeps me going in my industry. That if I don't come in tomorrow, let's say I'm on air, I'm not on air till Wednesday this week, which is great. I get a couple extra days off. But when I come in on Wednesday and I just do a crap show, yeah, I could technically get fired. Is my boss going to fire me? Probably not. But if I did that multiple days in a row and I was phoning it in and I wasn't doing it, and that's when you hear people say phone it in, it means that they've pretty much done the bare minimum to get their job in.
That's what I do at my job.
I mean,
well, I answer phones all day.
Well, I mean, no, like phoning it in, like I guess it's a radio term. I've never really heard it outside of that. But when you say phone it in, it means you're kind of like cheesing out your breaks and stuff like that.
You're just doing the bare minimum to get by, where you're showing up just close enough to starting the day to not get fired or written up for being late. You don't do anything extra. You don't volunteer for anything extra.
You hear it a lot in film and stuff like that when an actor is just phoning it in. They're just there to collect their paycheck. They're not putting in any effort. They're just like Anthony Hopkins and the Wolfman remake. He was just there. He was phoning it in the entire time.
Right.
So
yeah.
But I know a lot of the information I've gotten on, because we don't have inside sources with Hasbro.
No, I wouldn't want hidden inside. I wouldn't take their word for it anyway.
Yeah, there's some great videos out there of a group called a channel called Roll for Combat that goes into a lot of the stats. It's something like 3% of these layoffs are actually Wizards of the Coast, according to them.
Okay, that's what I was figuring too. Like, I didn't, because there's only so many people that have come out that said that they were either fired or forced to retire.
Yeah. And what it is Hasbro, a toy company, has decided they don't want to make toys, basically, is what it comes down to.
Well, I wouldn't say
they're moving into a licensed product model.
I wouldn't say that's essentially true, because I saw from Clownfish that they're releasing some vaulted toys, things that they haven't, because they got to make money back. Now, I got to give a shout out, and I'm probably going to mess up his name. I think we talked about him last night. Shulia Saw 982, he put a comment down on the video, and he made points. He's like, look, Wizards was the only thing that was actually profitable. And you're true. He was right on that, but 40% isn't essentially profitable, because you're only making half of you're not even making half of what you're spending.
Yeah.
So
and it's the Magic side of Wizards really that's making more of that profit too than the D&D side. Which it shouldn't be the case. As popular as D&D was, D&D had something like a 90% market share. They had everything, the movie coming out, the Stranger Things bump, and all this stuff that should have put D&D as a hugely marketable product, and they squandered it from bad management is really what it comes down to.
So that's been my argument, and I honestly think that Jeremy Crawford should have been fired first. Like, I really do. Like, I know it's always seems like I got a bone to pick with the dude, because I kind of do, because you're turning something that I love into dirt, and I don't really want dirt. I want great product.
Yeah.
But they let go a lot of some of the old guard guys that have been there for like 20 plus years, and we're gonna see some shifts. But it is. I'm more in agreement with you that it's bad management, that these people weren't being properly. There was no oversight to some of the stuff that they were doing.
And some of the products they're making, not just the rule books that they're deciding to make being, 30-page pamphlets that have nothing worth buying. That like there was the planer one. I'm blanking on the name of it right now. The Planescape that came out over the summer, and
all three books.
Space Jammer one.
Yeah,
the Space Jammer one, which was $360-page booklets that really had no real information that was really useful. I mean,
yeah,
those kind of bad decisions. That's bad product. But also, you're a toy company, but somebody else makes all you have to go to Hero Forge to get custom minis. You can't get an Elephantine mini that's an official product, except for in this one little 6-pack somewhere. You can't get a female Elephantine at all. You can't. The Elephantine that's in that product is wielding a mace. That's the only Elephantine you can get. I'm sure there's other classes and races. There's examples of this. But unless you go to like a Hero Forge and get a custom mini built, you can't get that as an official licensed product. You can't get that from Hasbro. Hasbro's a toy company. Every class, subclass, and race, every combo out there should be available from Hasbro. I mean, these cost the same as like Green Army Men to make. They could make them by the boatloads for next to nothing. There should be no reason a toy company's not producing these things. Battle mats and dry erase battle mats. Why are we going to third-party people for simple products like that instead of an officially one made by Hasbro?
I think a lot of it has to do is they were so much worried about getting the cards and the books that aren't selling out because somebody has convinced them that that's what players want, and it's not what players need. Players need, like you're saying, we want the minis, we want the mats, we want.
And you're only going to buy the book you need to play the game, and maybe if they were making like, I still think they should make player handbook, class handbooks like they used to the complete book of fighters, complete book of elves, cool. Those kind of things like they used to make, which were targeted at the players instead of trying to get the DMs to be the only ones buying books is kind of dumb.
Well, I mean, we've talked about that in the past where, sometimes you don't know when you buy a book, you don't know who the book is for, whether it's for the DMs or whether it's for the players. And sometimes they put both in there thinking that, you're going to want to buy it, but there's not enough on one side or the other to justify spending the price on these books.
Yeah. So. And when you every new campaign and you have a new character, you're buying a new mini. It's not like, the book, you may only buy a new book once a year. If you're playing in 3 games, you may be buying 3 new character minis. If you're DMing these games, how many people are using tokens like we use tokens with numbers on them for our monsters? Because you can't just buy complete sets of all the monsters in the monster manual in hordes.
I would even go further to say you don't even have to be a DM, just a player. Yeah. How many? I mean, look at Felix. Felix has got how many blessed minis? Look how many Bolgg's got. You've got. I've got even a bunch of mine left over.
And they cost almost nothing for these huge companies to mass produce. You produce extra. You bought too many. You stuff them into a mystery pack, and you resell them. 5 minis for the price of 1, but you don't know what you're getting. And just like the trading cards, it becomes the random booster pack gamble that people will just pick up for the fun of it.
Oh yeah.
Really. Right now, one of the biggest what was it? I was reading one of the biggest impulse buys at toy stores and game stores and things like that are the blind bag minis. Like just grabbing them and going because they're like $4 and you get a random thing. Well, do that. Put 3 minis in there, randomly assorted. There you go. There's $5 that you didn't have, minus the cost of production.
All right,
But
I think
instead
Hasbro needs to
Hasbro-
hire us.
Instead, Hasbro puts out like the I don't know if you saw those things that went to the bargain store.
Ollie's?
Ollie's, yeah, the Ollie's. It's a $110 board game.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I saw that.
Why on earth are you producing a $110 board game?
Because they don't know what they've gotten away from saying, "Hey, what do the players want?" And that's always been my argument.
Well, and part of it is that they think that kids don't play with toys anymore. So they want to get into the video game sphere, and they want to get into the. But if toys are your core competency, you should be producing. You produce toys to get out of the spot you're in. What they should be trying to produce is the next Beanie Babies or
they have
vlogs or
they have D&D though. They don't even need to reproduce a Beanie Baby. They just need to do D&D. That's your big money spender. And the idea that people don't want to play with toys anymore is so idiotic, because you go look at Mattel. Mattel is selling the hell out of Barbies right now from the Barbie movie.
Right.
The D&D stuff, well, granted, the D&D movie is good.
But that's the problem Hasbro's had, is they've only done movie tie-ins. And so when the movies flop, like Transformers did, G.I. Joe did, and now D&D did, the toys they produced based off of those movies don't succeed.
The original 3 Transformers, they helped make money for the Transformer toys.
But not this year, what was it, the Rise of the Beasts or whatever the last one was. And then, the Snake Eyes, the last G.I. Joe movie, and now the D&D movie. None of them were the breakout hits they were expecting, and so the merch they produced that were based on these movies all lost money because they were expecting big turns on those. Instead, they should be doing more of a general, more general action figure They should be creating new, rather than relying on stuff that
right,
existing IP that they own.
That's the argument I'm making that this needs to put the fear not only into Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, the people who are designing all this stuff. If we don't come back in and give players something what they want, even from Hasbro, if we don't give people who buy our products what they want, we're going to continue. This isn't the first time for Hasbro to do this. They do this every year that they fire people. And
the thing that kids play video games these days, yes. That does not exclude that they'll play with toys.
Absolutely.
And even if it'd be nice that the toy is very popular and the kid plays with it forever. Great. But actually it's selling those toys that should be their business. If Bolgg is buying his niece a toy, he's probably not buying her a video game.
I mean, how often have we actually bought our nieces a video game versus buying them a toy or something that we think they might like?
Yeah, right. And Bolgg's niece happens to like D&D. That fat dragon from the movie. A plushie of that. Any little kid that liked the movie, that would be a great little tie-in. How many of them did you see?
Oh, you didn't see any. You didn't see any merch.
See anything? Yeah. The merch they made was they had some cheap action figures. They had the owl bear.
It was either really cheap or it went the other direction and was so expensive it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's the owlbear, $113 on Walmart, and it's not even like nobody's gonna pay for that crap.
Whereas you have something like this. Wait, there we go. It was given to me as a Secret Santa gift. He said he spent $12 on it.
Yeah,
and this is awesome. We could be banking on nostalgia with this. Because I know Doug and I know this cartoon very well.
Not.
Yep. Sorry. Moke.
It's too late. You doxed him.
Well, we can,
Now
we can
he's gonna get bullied off me ship. Finally, something good has come out of this.
But anyway, yeah. Going off the nostalgia, but let me guess, that's probably a licensed lunchbox. Hasbro probably didn't produce that. There's probably not a Hasbro license on that. They probably licensed it out, and somebody else is producing those.
It's got the Wizards logo on here.
I mean, yeah. So they're getting their money somewhere through their $38.
Oh yeah, but yeah, the license probably. I mean, it is easy to make money off of licensing products, and there are companies out there that is all they do is they manage licenses, and you can do that with a much smaller staff than a company that manufactures toys and commodities. And then it's an identity crisis at Hasbro. It's the leadership, mainly because they've come from like the Microsofts and the intellectual type property type companies, instead of them coming from like a toy manufacturer background. I think their views are tainted.
But here's the issue too that you come across now when you get over to the Wizards of the Coast, though, is are you going to have who's making the content for the part of the game that we want to play, whether it's the Magic the Gathering side or the D&D side?
Yeah.
Because if you're bringing in these Microsoft people, absolutely, you're trying and that's the thing with the D&D Beyond that a lot of people had an issue to is like, hey, look, it's going into like the subscription base that nobody freaking wants.
Yeah, and they want to monetize things, the players, but they're not. Instead of giving something of value to those players, they're relying more on the players' commitment to things like the subscription services.
Yeah.
Of D&D Beyond and their upcoming VTT, and I've heard rumors through watching videos from places like the Roll for Combat. Again, I don't have inside sources, so these rumors could be completely off base.
Yeah.
But my internet research and watching of lots of videos, I've heard rumors that this new Player's Handbook 2024 that they're still play testing for is actually finished and written. And that's why they're laying off people who in like the art direction department, because they don't need them because that book's already put together. Because you don't lay off those people if you're putting out a new book that's supposed to be a big seller for next year. That's not finished yet.
That actually seems like a legit.
Yeah.
A legit thing. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up because I have on a Google Sheets my notes from that video that I did.
Yeah. So yeah, while you're pulling that up, one, they're gaslighting their people with putting out these play tests that if the book's written, done, and finished, what's the play test going to change? Yeah,
I'm going to tell you, it better change a goddamn lot.
Yeah. I think that's an illusion of choice type of thing. They want those devoted players to feel they've had an input. But whatever they put out, I mean, we don't actually see these results. We hear what they tell us the results were of any of these surveys. They can say these surveys whatever they wanted,
So, one second, I'm going to make sure that you guys can see this. So these are the list of people right here, in order from how long they worked there and kind of what they did. So you have Liz Shu, I hope I'm saying that right, licensing and publishing manager. She retired out, 28 years. That is some old guard. I don't know, it probably cost them more to let her retire than it would actually have been just to keep her around. Chris Lindsay, he probably was forced to retire because he was at 20 years. Mike Merles, I know there's some controversy around him. He was there for like 18 years. And then from there, and granted, there's probably more. This is just what we know. Bree Heiss, art director. I liked a lot of her early work that she did. She's done stuff for like Magic and stuff. Game designer for Magic the Gathering. Vanessa Quanon, associate systems administrator. Dan Dillon, he was a D&D designer. He was more for the tabletop part. Desiree Dawn, program manager. Some of these people, I'm going to tell you, it feels like they had double titles, like admin, system manager. And it's like, what do you really do? And like, you couldn't find out what they did.
And some of this is, their acquisition of D&D Beyond.
Well, I haven't got to those yet. Yeah. We'll get to those. Most of the people that were there from the acquisition of D&D Beyond, I'll show you where I'll pull that information. Community manager, he worked for the Blizzard and the Pokemon Company. So Jesse Hill, I have a feeling it'll bounce back like really good because the Pokemon Company community managers are usually really good. Jaina Hodgins, technical producer, she worked on the Magic the Gathering arena, and I was asking around to figure out who liked that, and a lot of people liked the Magic the Gathering arena.
Yeah, I prefer Magic the Gathering arena to the actual card game.
Okay. Mile Villancourt, art director. So look, you have an art director right here, and then you also have another art director, Bree Heiss. So I have two art directors. Like, who's the art director? And one of them's Bree Heiss. A lot of her stuff, I think, was more towards Magic. And I may actually have this backwards. But you have two art directors. So you have people that are like double titles. All right. And not to say anybody's
if they have multiple lines like that, they probably had multiple.
But then you get down to here.
Without an art.
Yeah, you like, true. But then you have a couple of these people, Amy Dallin, Wendy Despain. These were your D&D Beyond acquisitions, 1 year, 9 months. Michael Rexford, same thing. I have this one out. Larry Froome. The only person I couldn't really find anything out was about Ellie Lockhart. Did not have anything to do. But some of these people, first off, they're going to bounce back. They have really impressive resumes. I went through everybody's LinkedIn and looked at what they did. I was like, oh, okay. You're going to be solid. Like you'll be able to bounce back. And people hated that. They were like, how could you say that? You're tone deaf, bro. You look at the truth of this. Yeah. You want them to sit there and wallow in self-pity because they got let go? No. Sit here and answer for what it is. But some of this stuff, like you're saying, these are people that are like late stage developments. They're late stage development people. So your sources are, or the sources to those guys are probably right. That this is the sign that that's done. I'm going to tell you, if that book is released as is right now, it's not going to be good. It's not. And
yeah, well, hopefully
we could be seeing the early death of D&D.
Yeah. Well, hopefully what they did is they have their finished product, and then they've made some of the stuff sound bad, so that when they put it up there and they make these changes, it sounds better. That's hopefully the way. The way they're.
I don't think Jeremy Crawford's that smart.
That's the way they're gaslighting us.
I don't think Jeremy Crawford's that smart.
I don't know if it's Jeremy. I think it's probably their marketing people that this is.
I think they fired one of their marketing guys.
Yeah,
and their public relations guy.
This smells of gaslighting to me. Like this book is written, ready to go, because it's going to take 3 or 4 months at the publishers to print. And this is coming out, this summer? Is that? I
think that's the planned product time. What were you saying, Mr. Producer?
Yeah. Well, I think Hasbro's just had a really shitty PR year. They pulled some really shitty moves.
Oh, absolutely.
The three off the top of my head are we have the firing right before Christmas.
Yeah.
We have they sent the Pinkertons after the
Magic the Gathering
guy. Yeah. And they have the OGL changes at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So with the Hasbro firing people thing, we do this every year. I think a lot of it is with the signs of economic turmoil and stuff like that, and the rough year that they've had from the start. That this one made bigger news because you can go back in and see Hasbro does this
one this year where they normally just do this one.
Right. So
they did 800 about a couple months ago.
Yeah,
they're doing 1,100 more.
They claim it's because of downturn in sales, but they paid out their CEO a $9 million bonus at the beginning of the year.
Oh, don't even get me started on that bullshit.
And how can you say one thing and do another?
That's everyone, bud. I'm gonna tell you in the corporate radio world, as much as I like to think that Hollywood fails up, the corporate radio world's the same way. You go see some of these executives that do radio. I'm not going to throw out any company names because That's how you get targeted by bullshit. But you go look out and see their bonuses and their salaries. I will throw out iHeart because I don't give a fuck about iHeart. But you look at him.
Well, it's not
and-
just radio. It's most of these major, more especially media corporations.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, that's the truth of this scenario. So they're going to pay themselves out because why? Because they're making it to where that when they jump ship, that their pockets are filled with silver and everything ready. Like that's the truth of the nature.
Yeah, and most of these big executives and these big companies come in with a golden parachute already as part of their contract.
Yeah. So they're going to walk away with even more.
Even if they fail, even if they do a terrible job, that golden parachute will set them for life. Just as a condition for taking the job, they are set for life.
Yep. And that's because it's a tough job, but I mean, to be the guy that comes in, let's say you are a CEO that actually cares about how your company's doing. You come in and you're still gonna have to be the bad guy to fire a lot of these people. Yeah. Like, because some of them, like I said, why do I have 2 art directors? I missed that when I was doing my last video. I was like, I didn't think about that. We had 2 art directors. In that whole list of people, I was like, why do I have multiple? Why can't one person oversee all this? And I get it, like downsizing, because we got to save money. And
and with Wizards, there's multiple. You've got the Magic the Gathering. That's a lot of art, and then any books you put out in D&D, that's a lot of art. I could see having multiple art directors, especially if you have multimedia.
I have one art director, and I have people under my art director that do the art. All right, that's it. Like that. All right, you got to put your CEO on hat. You want your company to make money. All right, we already talked about how they could do it with the grab bags and everything like that. Okay, they're right there. That'll give us something to produce with these products. Now, all right, how do I make my Wizards of the Coast make even more money? How do I make even? Let's just focus on Wizards. Let's not even say Hasbro as a whole. I'm still the Hasbro CEO because it's up under my umbrella, but I need Wizards to make more money. Why do I have people that have the same title? All right, I have to ask myself that, okay? And it's, like I said, not because I want people to get fired, but I have to look at it. How do I make sure that we're making the most amount of profit? And for those of you who are out there listening going, it can't always be about profit. It is when you're making when you make a product.
That's
not making
the
you
reason for a corporation.
Yeah. I mean, but why do I have 2 people with the same title? All right. How can I get one person? Heck, Bree Heiss, art director for 10 years. That would be my senior person right there. Put her up above the others. Everybody else answers to Bree Heiss. All right. If Bree's work starts lacking and we're starting to let things slip through, then we reevaluate. Say, all right, Bree, this is what we need to have from you. If you don't start producing this, we're going to move on to Valancourt. I hope I don't want to mispronounce your name.
Well, and I'm assuming they still have art directors.
I'm sure they do. They probably did, like I said, and they crunched it down up under to one person, and that one person now is overseeing a lot. And it's, but
it's also it gets a little tricky because these days, like, the artists are probably not employees; they're probably like 1099 contractors.
Yeah, and that's the way it works in the comic book world, and that's why those dudes don't get paid.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, that's the way American business goes right now.
I mean, if you, and I was making this argument to the guy on the, like I said, and I hope I'm not pronouncing his name wrong either. Shyla Rasal 982. The comments over on the Hasbro Says You're Fired video, recommend you go look at him. He made some really good arguments. He's like, hey, look, it was profitable, but 40%. It was making 40% of what it was. That's according to Forbes, and so it was not pulling in more than half of what it was, a little under half of what it was making. Sorry, the way I'm saying this is make it sound like they weren't making money. The profits that they were making off there weren't completely going over half of what it was to create this stuff, to make it, to produce it.
And that's they weren't high enough to make up for the losses of their other divisions. Exactly.
And you have to give it to where you have to get in there to where you make it to where Hasbro has no reason to fire your crew, because you're going to be like, because that's where Jeremy Crawford would come in. Probably not Jeremy. There's probably somebody above him that kind of oversees all of Wizards, and they kind of like make the arguments, and they're like, if Hasbro came to me and I was that guy above all of them, and he goes, well, we got to let go of some people. I was like, well, look, we're making all your money right now. Like, this is like 70-80% of your money right now. You're really going to fire my team instead of like looking at your other guys? Oh, well, I was like, no, you take away from these guys, you're going to start losing money. You don't want to be the guy to lose money, right? And that's the argument that they needed to make, but it wasn't enough. If I'm only making 40%, so let's just use numbers for right now. Let's say it's $200 million to create some, or let's just do $2 million. It's or better yet, $1 million, because numbers are simpler when you do with zeros. So it's $1 million, but you're only pulling in your profit's only about $400,000. Yeah, you're making money, but that's not enough to supplement future projects. And
rather than blaming Jeremy Crawford, I blame Cynthia Williams. She's the CEO of Wizards. Also the one that said it's under monetized, and the one that's
I would blame her too. Yeah,
Does
she's
Hasbro
not.
and Wizard have separate CEOs?
Yes.
Yes. I absolutely would blame her too. I think I'm just angry at Jeremy Crawford's game design, and that's the reason why I really.
Yeah, but yeah, she is the guiding force that is leading them through, and all this. What like I said, they at 3 years ago, they had a 90% market share of the tabletop space. That space may not be the biggest because they are only the D&D division of Wizards of the Coast is on from those other sources. Again, I don't have the inside information,
Right.
but they're somewhere around 150 million a year company. They're not a huge billion-dollar industry like what Hasbro is. So that space may not be the biggest space, but if you're already controlling 90% of that, your goal is not to lose that 90%. And over the course of the last year and a half, they've done nothing but shed that. I mean, Games Workshop is reporting like record profits. Paizo is having gangbuster years, record because Wizards is just shedding their market share.
Yep.
And you can't do that. And if your company is shedding market share like that, that's a failure of leadership. That leadership should be being changed. The board of directors should be having a vote of no confidence on this CEO and removing.
Absolutely. I'm very much with that one. And I'm sorry I have to be harsh. I have to be the voice of I have to be the voice of reason in all of this, but we need to probably look from the top down and figure out what's going on, because honestly, like one of the chicks that they fired from the D&D Beyond team was a producer and host of their little podcast. It was like, was that really even a job? Like some of these roles,
a lot of these people are probably not making great money. Yeah, like the ones on your list that you've seen that are very public, they may be making decent money.
Well, I mean, that was one of the persons on my list.
Yeah, but I'm gonna guess that the majority of especially the ones you don't hear about, a majority of these layoffs are probably, Jim the mail guy, who works in whatever the modern equivalent of a mailroom is, that's making just entry level salary. You could probably cut as much from the salary with just Cynthia Williams' salary as everybody they fired.
Yeah, but who do you put in there in that stay, or do you just have Hasbro roll over?
If Hasbro's making all these calls anyway, Hasbro should be rolling them. Either roll this company into the companies as a complete unit, or they should be selling this company off to somebody else. Just keeping it's part of it, but it's not, doesn't work.
Right. I agree. I have nothing else to say on it, because it's the truth of the matter. These people, like I said, I think some of them probably, yes, they deserve to be fired. To the guy that made the comments, you got to stand with the workers. No, I don't even stand with the company. I stand behind the reasons of logic. But I think that they definitely, the people they picked to fire, some of them were wrong. You essentially eliminated a lot of your old guard. So let's go with the theory that your guys had the combat rollers is correct, and the fact that these people have already completed the stuff, and that's why a lot of them were let go. What happens when you move on to the next?
Yeah.
You have lost a lot of your experienced players or experienced people to put out this next edition. That's the thing that you end up having with the invasion into Iraq into 2003. There's a lot you can actually learn from the military, even if you've never been in or you've been in for a while. That when they invaded Iraq in 2003, people who had been there for Desert Storm and Desert Shield had gotten out. And that's why there was a lot more casualties in the initial invasion of Iraq in the 2000s, was because that old guard who had figured things out had gotten out. So they had no idea what was going on. You put a lot of leaders that had promoted up to fill those ranks. They went into Iraq. They're like, I don't fucking know. And that's what's going to happen with this next one. I think a lot of these, and this is my honest opinion on a lot of this, and probably the final opinion before we move on to our last topic, is this is the end of D&D in a sense. Like, I have a feeling we're about to see the end of Wizards in the next 3 or 4 years.
I want to see, this sounds really bad, I'd like to see Hasbro fail enough to sell off Wizards.
Yeah, but who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy it at this point?
That's up to Wall Street. There's enough there that if not enough harm is done to the Wizards itself, that they could, like I said, if they had an 80 to 90% market share, that is a sellable market. You just have to be realistic about what you're expecting from them. They're not $1 billion company.
Yeah.
They're
they're $1 million company.
They're a $150 million company with the potential to do about $300 million.
I think
they're not.
I think they could be a $500,000 company.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not $500,000, half $1 billion.
$500 million, yeah.
I think they could.
But Hasbro is treating them like they're already $1 billion property, and they're not.
Yeah. I think we could possibly see, like, I think of Mattel, because Mattel has got it. Mattel's selling out with Barbie right now. I think if Mattel was to buy Wizards from Hasbro, you might see it, but I don't even know if they want it. Like, they don't need to buy Wizards to make money.
Yeah, I see somebody like that more buying all of Hasbro in the event Hasbro fails and picking up all their licenses.
Yeah.
Ken is now an NPC in the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, I don't. I see
I'd
more. An investment firm of some kind would pick up the Wizards of the Coast as a separate entity, and just run that as a separate entity. I don't see it as being a part of a major conglomerate. And I think that's part of the problem is Hasbro won't sell it off except at the rates where a major conglomerate could afford it, and no major conglomerate's going to want it in the condition it's at right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking fire sale. When it goes to fire sale price and it's available at a cheap investment price, $500 million
Yeah, but
buyout.
By that point, I don't think there's going to be a return on investment to even buy it, because you're going to lose your fan base. People are already flooding over to Paizo's to go do Pathfinder.
Paizo, for
and
example, could be the one that buys it.
I don't think Paizo's.
They don't have the money for it as it is.
Yeah.
I don't think Paizo's
maybe not
fire sale price. They might.
I don't even think even then they would buy it. Like, because I'm going to tell you, with this, people are going to want to, like, distance themselves from this IP.
Yeah.
Paizo's, I don't think would buy it. Maybe an indie publisher, but even then, what are these indie publishers going to do with it? Because there's a lot of
because there'll be a lot of brand rehab by that point.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Maybe they buy themselves out and go indie again.
I don't know if they could afford that though. That's the real question.
They're not profitable enough right now.
Yeah, because if
now, yes,
I think that if they did that, if they could do that, they would have already done that.
Yeah.
Because getting out from under Hasbro, like, Hasbro's nice to have because it's like, here you can make our stuff, but they're not making your stuff. They're making your cards and your books and that. And I don't even think they make the books. I think they still outsource their book production.
Well, and they've got other line like I know. I don't know if it was D&D Shorts or Roll for Comment. Or there's another referencing more streamers today than I think I've referenced on any of our videos. But one of them had said that the Transformers role playing game and card games and those kind of things are licensed out. They don't, instead of Hasbro having Wizards produce those in house, they have their own division that does role playing games and card games. Instead, Hasbro licenses those out to a separate company outside of the Hasbro family.
Maybe it's just because they don't want the Wizards of the Coast to be on there. Because it almost seems like, in Hasbro's case, this is like redheaded stepchild syndrome with Wizards. Like, we really do, like, we own you, but we don't really care that we own you. Yeah. And so we're kind of going through all this.
Which is why I said they either need to roll them all the way in and just, they're Hasbro, not Wizards of the Coast at that point, or roll them out to somebody else who is going to do something with the brand. That's
I mean, if it's the only part of the brand that's technically making money, even though it's not making a whole lot of money, yeah, I'm with you. Like, no. I don't know where you're going to go from here. Where are you going to go? Who's going to buy you? And Paizo's ain't going to buy you. Paizo's making more money off freaking Pathfinder. Hold on, let me find out how much Paizo's in there.
But see, that's the thing is Paizo. It depends, and again, it depends how much damage has been done to the brand.
I think the
brand is beyond repair, and they're still asking $500 million for it. Yeah, no, Paizo's not going to do it. But if they do it still, if D&D still has a 70% market share, yeah, Paizo would be dumb not to buy them. They put out the Paizo edition, which would be basically the Pathfinder with D&D name on it, and all of a sudden they're back to the 80-90%.
I just don't see anybody wanting to buy it. I think it's just a damaged brand. It really is, especially at this point. You have controversy within it. You have controversy outside of it. Hasbro Hasbro's a giant name to have your back, and they don't even want to do anything with you. I just don't see. I just don't see any way to make money out of it. I really don't. Like, I think it's. I still stand behind what I said a little bit ago, that we see about 4 or 5 more years of this, and then it's the death of D&D as we know it. Like, you'll be able to go in and find older editions and buy those things, and that's it. And those things are going to skyrocket. So if you have a copy of an old edition of D&D, I'd hold on to that, put it safely somewhere, seal it in a bag, put it in an attic, put a note in 10 years to look in that same spot, and you probably have something that's worth a couple grand.
That's probably smart to do regardless, because those old editions become more and more popular, and
because it's content that people like. It's what they wanted.
Unless they do a re-release and just burn that.
I think having the OG originals is still going to be worth something, but you're right. It'll probably go the way of Magic.
Because again, it's the same company. Yeah. All of a sudden, they start releasing the old TSR editions as reprints or collector editions, just to.
I mean, that's what they did to Magic and piss Magic players off, and that's why you do things like that. You'll lose the rest of the base.
Yeah.
Whatever you have left is going to be even worse because they're going to be mad. You squandered their investments, because I mean, buying these books is investments. Let's move on to our last topic of the episode. We have an update on the game that is driving Bolgg mad, and it's ran by our very own Mr. Producer.
Mr. Producer's first time DMing.
It's his first time DMing, but Bolgg is a Fed. Everybody knows that, right? Bolgg is a Fed.
You're a cop. If you're a cop, you got to tell us. It's the law.
Listen here, Fed boy.
Yeah, it was weird being the center of attention, because that's something that I'm usually not. I'm more of a fly on the wall kind of person, but you have to be the center of attention and pushing things forward to be an effective DM. So it was very, very outside of my comfort zone. I mentioned in the last podcast it was going to be 9 players. It ended up just being myself and four people. So it was kind of it was a nice introduction. That it was not too chaotic, but there was still
wasn't too chaotic.
It was pretty.
It would have been
The
worse.
story was chaotic. The story itself was chaotic. The outside player, trying to railroad a story with 9 people, especially some of the characters we have within our group. It'll be fun for the next session, but it was nice to get a feel for things with a smaller group as my first time DMing.
Mr. Producer's using a Avatar: The Last Airbender supplemental D&D, how to play Avatar: The Last Airbender in D&D supplemental product, which it gives rules for classes for the Earthbender, Airbender. So it's not straight 5e, but it's 5e with a twist.
People kickstarted an Avatar Legends, like its own TTRPG, and I took a look at it, and it just, why would I spend $40 and try and teach 9 people to reinvent the wheel when there's a supplemental version that exists that we can just pop it into 5th edition, and it worked. It seemed to work well enough.
Yeah, except for one of your guys is a Fed.
It's not perfect. It's missing a couple things here and there, but overall, I think it does what I wanted to pretty well.
Yeah, and it shows the flexibility of the system, that you can do something like that. If you're a new DM, but you wanted to try something a little bit different, just doing a little bit of Googling out there, and you could probably find a supplement that'll help you, do what you want to do, whatever your favorite IP. Some of them, may be mass produced, high quality books you can buy, and some of them may be just stuff people have homebrewed. Either way, it's one of the fun things about this. If you want to do a Star Wars style D&D, you can, and you could put in all the work to convert everything yourself. That's a lot of work that you don't really need to do. There's products out there, and sometimes you go, if you're going, like I said, Star Wars, you might be better off going completely outside the Wizards of the Coast D&D scope and picking up a complete other, because they have Star Wars product. Yeah. But sometimes it's easier just to pick up some of these, like I said, there's some homebrew stuff off the internet that does what you're looking for. And it gives you the flavor and the fun you're looking for without having to go out and buy a whole new set of books and learn new rules. And
I wanted to go on record that he survived longer than any other DM. Most DMs want to quit after the first game, and apparently he's saying that he is going back to you knuckleheads and the Fed to and the Fed to run another game. So that's what it is. Take adventures, make mistakes, get messy, miss Frizzle. But you did more than a lot of other people do. I know we were dogging on DMs in our last episode, but that guy deserved it. Except for the Fed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We need more. This game, in this industry, whether it's D&D or some other role-playing game, we need more people willing to run games. Because the ratio right now of people who run games to people who play games is so skewed. There's so many players, and we've had on here before where people paying $20 an hour to professional DMs.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, in order to get into, like I said, we've had interviews with some of these DMs on this show, It happens because that is how hard it is to get good DMs these days. And the fix for that is, cut your newbie some slack. let them try.
I mean, it's a lot of work to put together a game.
Yeah.
I have to write my next session still, but I mean, I sunk a good bit of time into just that short little 4-hour session.
I'll say we had a blast. I mean,
We did.
it was fun. It was a fun game.
I might have given a kid brain damage.
That's not happening in the Avatar world.
Well, that's one of the cool like creative liberties that you can take is
What, giving a kid brain damage?
well there's more flexibility of like what you can do within a D&D world that like Nickelodeon won't touch. What Bolgg's character did, what's his name?
Danzin. He
leg sweeped one of the waterbenders who stole the Bolger's professional bending belt. I rolled like a 93 on the percentile check. So when he leg sweeped him, he fell and hit his head.
What game is this? You're like, oh yeah, leg sweep.
Well,
Land on a rock.
He couldn't catch himself either because I had chi blocked his arms with a natural 20.
Pirate Captain can relate to this. This was a
No, I can't.
No, top of the stairs.
No, I can't.
Non-lethal damage and roll a crit.
I can't relate to that at all. Wouldn't know what happens. People I kill non-lethal damage
fatal
are not dead.
One of the challenges I'm encountering is the lack of magic within the world and kind of how to bypass that. So as a substitute for healing potions, I gave the players all a bag of sensu beans to kind of, it crosses anime, but it helps bridge that, like, well, here's a healing potion in this non-magical world.
I always liked the good berry +1. Always worked. Because it's in the game. You just give it a +1 because it makes it super magical. I'm glad it all worked out for you, bud. Minus the Fed boy braining children. That seems exactly what a Fed would do. But that's it for us on today's episode. Appreciate everybody who has tuned into this. Make sure you follow us on Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything Facebook page. We're on Twitter, on Instagram. We're on it all. It's very simple to find us. Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for Chef Bolgg's eating hour while other people talk around him.
I mean, I can't help it. You bought food, and then we did the episode. You can make sure you like and subscribe to us on all podcast platforms, on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all of them. We're all there. Appreciate everybody who's done so far. Make sure you go over to our YouTube as well. Remember, YouTube is the only place that you can find the Friday Night Galleys, where we kind of talk more about pop culture, different things. Our last episode was about the MCU rumors, Avatar: The Last Airbender. In fact, we saw some of the live stills, and then we got way off topic and talked about Twitch. It's a very good episode, but those are only on YouTube. Like, subscribe, drop a comment over there. With that being said, say goodbye. Say goodbye, Bolgg.
Goodbye, Bolgg.
Say goodbye, Luke.
See ya.
Say goodbye, Mr. Producer.
Later, guys.
Happy adventures. Yar.
You've been listening to Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything, featuring Loke the Bard. Like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast. You can also find them on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Questions, comments, and newbie requests can be sent to bolgandpc@gmail.com. And as always, happy adventures.